beloveds. Get a close-up of me for a minute. Happy full moon, Sagittarian full moon. This has felt like an easier full moon in a lot of ways than some of its predecessors since the eclipse, and even prior to the eclipse. But can feel the light of truth shining through the fullness of this lunation, and really focused on becoming aware of any of the impurities, any of the toxins that are limiting our fullest and most authentic expression. Feel a lot of like boldness with this new moon, like taking bold action to align yourself with truth. So as always, just wanting to create this space where we align and ask for the highest truth to be revealed through this reading, to be focused on the energy around this lunar cycle, welcoming any messages that may help us to become more aware and to utilize this energy to set us up for prosperity, for fortune, for healing and wisdom. And so be it. And thank you. I feel to start. Wow, that was a bit more than what I expected on the first card. Our first card is the curse, and this is the overall theme for the reading. And the curse represents what has been handed down to us. This comes from the Shaman's Oracle. So okay, yeah, this feels relevant to these toxins that may be showing up, these limitations that you may be perceiving, the things that have been reaching a point of exposure around this full moon, where you doubt yourself maybe, where you aren't taking care of yourself in a way that supports and aligns you on that path towards your goals. People in your life, what are the situations that are keeping you bound? With this card, you can see that she has her mouth covered, or they have their mouth covered. You can also see the two different colored eyes there. And we've inherited both trauma as well as gifts from our ancestors. Let's read a bit more into what the book says. The curse refers to the limiting stories of our ancestors and the karma from former lifetimes that preordains the events of our lives. It is the source of negative patterns, and it can show up as dis-ease, a destructive force, or a blockage on our creative energy. This curse holds us hostage to a false story that we confuse for reality. Recognizing the original wound that is playing out in our life and can heal it. The invitation, is it time to recognize the source of your limitations? Did your grandparents live with a mindset of scarcity? Did you inherit genes for heart disease? Were you a slave or a master in a past life? This karmic legacy is ready and waiting to be seen, to be untangled, and to be released. Honor the players in the stories. Forgive everyone and everything. Craft a new life for yourself. And be aware of your actions. Act with impeccability, with intention, so as not to create a debt or karma that sooner or later someone has to pay. What you do to others, you also do to yourself and to the people you love the most. Now you have the opportunity to clean it up. So just from the conditioning around the word curse, around like my own feelings around that word, the first implication was like, oh man, this is going to be a tough time. But what I receive in that message is, this is the point of liberation. This is a point of liberation. This is a choice point. And I feel at a collective level, we're actually beginning to take some of those action steps that are setting up the new timelines, that are setting up the future. Because as we do any kind of ancestral work, it changes the timeline of the past and therefore the timeline of the future and the present. And this is why dis-ease can heal in an instant when there is, maybe it's just as simple as complete forgiveness. No debt that you're holding against anyone else, no debt that you're holding against yourself. And the shadow that we're working with this Pluto Oracle deck is the Moose. And this gives us more information as to maybe some of the material that you may be meeting or may want your attention. To just be very curious about how this speaks to you. What's relative for you? Are you also willing to see maybe things that you haven't wanted to see? It says a formidable obstacle or opponent, and giving something too much power. That's the message of the Moose through the plutonic, the transformative lens, through the shadow side. It says the majestic Moose is an intimidatingly large beast. Until you've experienced the presence of one in real life, it's difficult to appreciate the true impact of their stature. And once you have seen a moose in real life, their mammoth size is truly unforgettable. If the Moose card appears in your reading, something in your life feels just as large and intimidating as the creature. As I'm saying this, I'm like hearing where myself and other people will say they're never going to do that. They're talking about somebody who they have like a strong judgment or opinion about. They'll never be that. They'll never overcome this. What is that? What is that creating in the world? That is a limitation we're placing on somebody else. And so if we are creating that in the world, it also lives in us. So what are the limitations inside of ourselves that we're like, I'll never get over that. I'll never be able to transcend this. I'll never be able to quit this addiction. I'll never find love. Like, what is your story? Does any of that line up for you around this moon? Is there a place where, just like these hand puppets, you find out that really it's actually something small, but because of the distance of the light, it projects this massive shadow. So whatever this obstacle is, a person, a situation, a problem that needs to be resolved, it seems insurmountable and has left you feeling paralyzed and small in comparison. As formidable as the situation may feel, be careful not to give anything too much power or importance. Remember that perception is everything, and the dread is often worse than the deed. It's quite possible that, in fact, the anxiety this situation has caused you has enabled this thing to cast a larger shadow than it deserves. The longer you avoid it, the bigger it will become. Take action. So, cut yourself off from going into the thought patterns. Like, you can recognize when you start to have that thought that it takes you into a descending spiral of depression, of anxiety, of disassociation, codependency. Track that, and in that moment just go, I'm just not going to anymore. I'm just done with that. Like, don't even think about why you're done with it. I'm just done with it. And you just come back Find something else to turn your energy and your focus towards. Where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows. That's the saying. So the further reflection here is, read the story of David and Goliath and reflect on how David defeats the armored giant with a single stone. Then reflect on how you might tackle your own obstacle in a simple yet surprising way. Spirit responds to us in looking at this shadow by sending us on the journey. This journey within, you see that this being has the gift of the wings. The owl, who may see through the dark, can see through the shadow. And yet he looks very humbled. He looks very tender. You can see his heart is in the center of the owl. And also at this point in the head, this is called the alta when we're talking about the chakras and the energy centers in the body. This point that connects in also back here, kind of in that little space at the bottom of the cranium and where the spine inserts into the cranium. It's this energy that comes in through the back and projects out through here. And this is an energy that is the connection between the reptilian brain and the one of the master endocrine glands, the hypothalamus. And the way that these interact is if you understand, if we look at mythologically what the reptilian brain represents, it represents the old memories, the instincts, the parts of ourself that hold memory and trigger nervous system reactions and responses unconsciously, subconsciously, instinctually. And the new brain, the hypothalamus, which plays a big role in telling the endocrine system, the hormonal responses in the body, what is an appropriate chemical response in order to elicit an action for survival, for protection. Now, when we start to open these centers, when we start to maybe remember past lives, we start to do ancestral work, we start to do nervous system regulation, is that if we start to access more of that memory, this is also a pathway to the Akashic records. So as we start to access that and we open the unconscious becomes more conscious, if you will, then we begin to bridge that gap between the ancestral traumas, the curse, and a regulation of self centered in the awareness of the current self, not of what happened in our past. We gain access to view it, to probably re-experience it, and yet this place inside of us that's, this interaction between the third eye and this place of higher consciousness, of our spiritual nature, our eternal nature, we start to create a little bit of relevance and connection with that so we can make choices, so that we are not automatically going into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We're not automatically trapped in the limited experiences that are held in the DNA, but we begin to generate these new hormonal responses in the body, and therefore it's all integrated, this nervous system response, healing responses, DNA unwinding and changing. And therefore we start to create a whole new reality, rewiring the brain to create a new circuitry so that the next time that thing happens that reminds you of it, the new neural network begins to get strengthened. So all of that to say, here we have the journey, and the journey is that of acknowledging these things, what some call family curses, the genes I inherited, and just noticing maybe if you're giving it a little bit too much power. Are you giving it too much? Are you giving your authority away to some external thing, something in the past? And are you willing to accept the journey to come into the now, to leave everything in the past, to rewrite history, and therefore to create the new timeline that is aligned with being a new human that is not subject to these lower instinctual nature, both collectively, individually, planetarily, universally. The essence of the journey is an invitation to step outside of the boundaries of your life as you know it. The journey is not a holiday. It is a call to be hermit-like and to go on a pilgrimage into the unknown. There are no maps to this territory you will be exploring, no marked paths or road signs. The time to embark on the great journey is here. Do not linger in the port when distant shores are calling. Fearlessly draw your navigational charts as you discover the route. And when the time is right, as it is now, you will be led true. Even when you are not sure of where you are going, it is the departure that is most important. If you miss the boat, a great opportunity can be lost, and another ship may not arrive for a very long time. Now, that may not be for everyone right now. There may be things that are required prior to that. Either way, it's still taking action. So it says the journey is calling you, but you may be in a preparation mode. Rather than it's time to leap from the nest, perhaps you need to eat a little bit before you're ready to take that journey. Collecting postcards or fantasies of where you want to go may take over your focus and make you miss your destiny. Other things must be completed first, or you may still be attached to knowing the destination. Remember that the point of the journey is not the destination. It's who you will become as you are transformed along the way. Do not confuse the inner and the outer journey. One of the greatest pieces of advice that I've received, and I'm not sure where I received this from. It might have been Eckhart Tolle as I was listening to A New Earth. I realized what he was conveying in one of his messages was that we all have the same purpose. The purpose is to become awake, is to realize, actualize our true nature. And in doing that, you then, as you know who you are, as you think you know who you are, you're able to know what actions to take. So I speak with a fair amount of people who they want to get on the healing journey, they want to begin a new career, they want to follow their life's purpose. And the thing that precedes entering into a vocation that's aligned with your life's purpose is knowing who you are. Because when you know who you are, you know what you're offering, you know what your service is to the world. That becomes clear. So first, it's required for you to become clear with who you are. So the answer may not be out there, finding the right training or the guru or the retreat or the school, whatever. It may not be that just yet. It's great to place some attention there. But if it's not lining up, it's because this isn't lined up quite yet. This is the focus. Who am I? Who am I? That practice alone of being in meditation, going, who am I? And listening into that stillness. All the answers are there. Waiting. Just waiting for you to arrive. So start to commune with the angels. Start to commune with the beings that are ever present, waiting for us to just ask. ask for their help. If angels don't align with you, maybe guides do. Guides don't align with you, maybe there are certain teachers or saints. Could be religious, maybe not. Masters. What can you align with that represents a higher knowledge, an accumulation, a mastery of maybe a certain trait or characteristic, an embodiment that you wish to emulate, that you are aware that there is a current of energy that flows between you, a love and an intelligence that flows between you and this emanation, this teacher, this expression of something that is a representative of the highest, of the Most High. Have you asked? Is it a daily practice for you to ask, to invoke the help of your ancestors of the light? Just to say, just because there are ancestors, just because they pass over the other side, doesn't necessarily mean they're any more wise than they are here. So you need to be specific when you're asking for this. Ancestors of the light. So the ancestors that have made their transition into a higher dimension of themselves rather than stuck in a lower dimension or stuck. You can go and you can receive from these individuals, but as you're first starting to get this process started, as that altar is just starting to open, it can be difficult to discern between the light and the dark entities. And there are light beings, Luciferians, that are not the eternal living light. They are a very different, they have a different mission. And so people can tend to get thrown off by that, thinking just because they're a light being that they're enlightened. That's not the case. So you need to be very intentional, very mindful, very specific as you are asking for assistance. What is it that you're wanting? Who are you inviting in? It's very important. Pachamama, she with the Andean emerald heart. Pachamama, the goddess of the earth, honored by the indigenous peoples of the Andes, holds space for many different creatures to live within her field, including the beautiful, the dangerous, and divine humanity. She knows that life thrives through diversity. She is able to foster life with such genius and generosity because there is no fear preventing her from holding space for the new to emerge. Be open to the new and the different in yourself and your life. Trust like the Earth Mother as an act of devotion. She is watching over you as you evolve to manifest the fullness of your sacred and original life purpose. Don't hold back from what is happening. Things need to change, so let them change. It may seem chaotic or overwhelming now. However, when you realize that you don't need to figure it all out, you will relax, allowing the wisdom of what is happening at a deeper level to unfold. Trust that your inner resources are enough and will grow to meet your needs for soul expression in the world. You may sometimes feel like you are juggling too many projects with too few arms. Divine Mother can help you if you trust her to keep an eye on things and guide the process for you. This oracle indicates that peace and harmony will eventually triumph over conflict and challenge, bringing about a new way of being. I heard when I woke up this morning, maybe this was yesterday morning, the days are kind of like blending together right now. If you want peace, be peace. If you want love, be love. And I know that sounds cliche and simplistic, but it really is. It really is that simple. And so when we're wanting something, when we want healing, we become healing. We become healing to ourself. If you want healing, you practice being healing to yourself. If you're struggling through acceptance, then you practice the things that show that you accept yourself as healing. As we grow in our role of sacred guardianship on this planet, the space we hold for ourselves in the world becomes more potent and important. That space can become a way for diversity to be either a beautiful orchestra or a cacophony of chaos. The outcome depends on our ability to hold a sacred feminine presence that allows for differences to be integrated into oneness, whilst understanding that oneness has nothing to do with sameness. You have the ability to bring great life to the souls of this world through honoring your own soul journey. Don't underestimate the importance of your inner work or the healing effect it initiates in the world. I feel it's this balance between seeing in the outer world right now where we're not lining up with our authentic expression, where we're not living our virtues that we think we have, where we're saying one thing, but our actions not matching it. We're being shown these outward limitations, and we're being guided to assist the process in us in recalibrating that, to change the reflection by going inside, taking the journey, what needs to be done, and the steps leading up to the manifestation of that alignment, of that clarity, of that truth, of that freedom. And with this is divine grace, grace of she who rides the owl. So this is 2 owls in this reading. The owl being this spirit, this fire spirit that has access, it has full vision, full range of motion in the night. It sees really clearly in the night. It's very precise, and it's able to capture anything within the shadow realm that distracts us from the journey. What's distracting you from the journey? I am the goddess of spiritual awakening, wealth, and balance. I come to correct adharma, that which is dark, unnatural, and against nature, life, love, and goodness. I redress the misuse of wealth and power. I awaken the heart to the vision of light and truth that was once hidden. Trust in the innocence of your soul and fear not, for I am ever watchful, and my grace brings truth. Divine justice is always brought to bear with compassion. Don't waste your valuable time and energy worrying about people getting away with things. On a cosmic level, there is only justice. That is not always visible at a human level, and yet that doesn't preclude divine order unfolding. Everything is balanced by karma in the long run. If you feel down or depressed, take immediate action to reconnect to joy, healing energy, and vitality of spirit. All things are measured and metered by clear divine vision, and your job is to put your faith in the work of the divine whilst you tend to your own journey and trust the commitment. So this card, this is a cosmic owl upon which the Indian goddess of enlightenment and prosperity, Lakshmi, rides. It is an unlikely pairing given the owl is a creature of night who sleeps during the day, and Lakshmi is associated with light. The unexpectedness of the association holds deep meaning. Out of that which appears to be devoid of light, light shall rise. That which appears to be hidden in darkness shall be perceived and blessed and transformed. Even if all seem lost, or if something doesn't seem right, Divine knowledge is absolute and complete and trustworthy. From the perspective of those with awakened hearts, the world can sometimes appear to be a disturbing and frightening place where negative activity leads to prosperity, whilst good and worthy people struggle and suffer. It may appear that those who have wisdom are barely heard, whilst angry people with fear in their hearts are afforded attention and power. It may seem that what matters most is tended to the least, and constructive causes struggle to maintain existence, whilst destructive purposes gain mass support. It is very easy, with such a view of things, for the pure of heart to become angry, bitter, and despairing. However, you are meant to be a light in this world, and it is important that you allow a higher spiritual intelligence to support you in this task. Safeguarding your state of mind is essential for you to accomplish your life purpose. If you get caught up in negative thinking, as may happen from time to time, allow your heart wisdom to guide you back to the truth of your inner light. Remember that the divine is more powerful than any nightmare created by human darkness. You don't have to deny the dark side of human nature or its manifest consequences for the health of the planet, but you do need to keep yourself secure within the light so that you can effectively fulfill your destiny. Joy, happiness, and peace will not diminish your motivation to serve love. Rather, they will ensure you have enough energy to do so effectively. Whether you are facing a sense of injustice in your personal life or feel despair at the choices humanity is making in a broader sense, know that the divine has a grander plan that we can possibly understand. We are here to fight for love and do all that we can to honor what is true for us. I would go as far as to rephrase that and say that we are here to be love, not fight for love. I feel like we can't really have fight and love in the same sentence So we're here to be love and do all of that, all that we can to honor what is true for us. We are meant to call upon the universe for assistance in all ways possible. We are meant to use strengths of love, compassion, wisdom, light, and kindness to be kick-ass earth warriors. And earth warriors never give up. And they are smart enough to use every resource they can, including their living connection to spirit, to affirm the priorities that honor life. In this way, we uplift ourselves and inspire others throughout our life journey. Give up your worry. Acknowledge these places that you worry. And what do you do when you worry? Can you connect the pattern of worry to certain habits that you have that take you into the descending spiral? If that's a real challenge for you, if you feel like I can't possibly do that, you're giving it too much power. And I would encourage you to ask for help outside of yourself. This reading indicates that there is permission for us to transform the messages, the stories that we've been handed by our ancestors, by our parents, by our communities, by the world, and to acknowledge what are the action steps necessary for me to step more fully into my power, into my light, and on my path with assured footing. This is the time. We're here. We're doing it. And so giving great thanks to the eternal light, the one true living light, to all the beings that represent and hold this light as humanity goes through its evolutionary leap, as this planet goes through its evolutionary leap. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for receiving this message. I always appreciate if you like it, if you share it, and if you comment on it. I love this. This helps the algorithms. I'm hoping like over time that this can build, the community can build here, and that you are all receiving messages that speak to you and touch you in a way that help to illuminate these cycles that we go through and realize everything is working for you and not against you, and to utilize these messages in a way that reminds you of the nature of grace and the self-organizing universe. So thank you. Keep it pure. Stay simple. Pura vida.